Hello, how's it going? I'm Andy and welcome back to episode 10 of Scratch Building Basics. In this episode I'm going to attempt to build a ship from this balsamic salad dressing bottle, and I'll use a few other bits and pieces of household junk, but we'll get into that later. First I have to say thanks very much for all the support. I recently broke 1,000 subscribers there, so thanks for all the support and subscribing and commenting and leaving all your suggestions. I really appreciate it, and keep them coming. Remember, no stupid questions here. And I also have to say thanks to Tinu and Dr. Toys. They give me a shout out on their channel, so if you don't already know them, go and check out two awesome crafting channels there, so go and check those out. I left links in the description. And just while we're on the topic of shout outs, there's another channel, Retro Roboland. He's not really getting any notice from the algorithm, and I don't really know why. He's doing a really cool start-stop animation project, so I've left his link in the description as well if you want to go and check that out after this video, obviously. So yeah, let's get into this build, which by the way I'm going to give away. Since it's my 1,000 subscriber special, I thought I'd give this build away, so stick around for that, and yeah, let's get into it. Alrighty. So I've got my balsamic salad dressing bottle here. Just get it stripped down, ready for sanding. There's a cool wee cap there. I'll keep that for another build. And then the straw on the inside, that'll come in handy for something. And then I think I've got plans for the spray top here, so I'll keep that to one side. I've got a couple of those. Just get that water cleared up. That's from cleaning the bottle out. And this is another top of a spray bottle. I think this was a window cleaning spray bottle, and that just fits perfectly. I haven't modified that at all. It just fits perfectly on the end of the bottle. And then I've got a couple more spray bottle tops here, and they're going to make good pods for the side there, and hopefully put it together something like this. That's my plan anyway. I think that's pretty cool shape. And then a good old half a ping pong ball there for the cockpit area. I've still got a load of ping pong balls, so I like using them, and they're handy shapes to have. Just do a dynamic camera angle change there to show off my new sanding sponges. Thanks very much, Mel. Fancy sanding sponges there. Just get everything sanded down and prepped for glue. And because I'm giving this away, I'm just being extra careful with my prep. I'm making sure everything's nice and smooth, well sanded, so that the glue has a nice key to grip to, and just get the rest sanded here. And the bottle already had some mould lines on it, so I used those as a bit of a guide to help me divide the bottle up, just to give me some guidelines to work to. I want to try and keep everything nice and in line, so I'll just get this front piece lined up and get it glued on. I'm going to take my Stanley knife first here and score the inside of it. Just because it is quite slick plastic, I want to make sure it has a nice grip when I add some glue. So as well as sanding the inside of this, I'm going to score it out with my Stanley knife here. I'll get plenty of glue added on the inside here, and then use my guidelines that I drew on earlier, just to try and keep it nice and central. But I'm just amazed that this didn't take any modification to fit on the front here. It's as if it was made for it. As usual, I'm going to add my baking powder, my bicarb, but I'm going to be just a bit more careful. I don't want any weld lines on this. I want to keep it nice and neat. And then I'll get my cockpit ping pong ball glued on here. Again, using my guidelines just to try and keep it all central. I'm going to add some guidelines to the ping pong ball, just using my mat there. And that'll just help me keep everything nice and square. Alrighty, cockpit done. Let's see about getting these pods on. I was just originally going to stick them on their own, but they look a wee bit better, spaced out a wee bit, so I'm going to take some more half ping pong balls and stick them on the side there first, and that'll just create a bit more distance between the body and these pods, and it just gives it a nicer look, to be honest. But before I stick them on, there's a few nubbins and stuff on the inside are going to need cut out. So I'm going to cut as much as I can out first, just with my snips, and then take my Dremel with my sanding tool on it, which I've never really done before. I was a bit worried that it was going to kind of burn right through the plastic, but it did a really neat job. I was very surprised. So I'll definitely be using that more often for cutting out shapes. That's it, a bit tidier now. That should fit over the ball a bit better. You can see the difference there. Just that wee bit of plastic there was going to hold it off the ball a wee bit. So that just fits on there nicely. Again, you would think it was made to fit there. I'll just get the other one ready here, and that's me good to get this all stuck together. But before I do that, I want to quickly talk about my channel's first sponsor. Well, he's actually my father-in-law. His name's Mo, or Morris, and to cut a long story short, a few weeks back he noticed the shelves in my living room were a bit more full than usual and showed a genuine interest in what I was up to. Within a few weeks he was bringing all this cool scratch building material. Containers and stuff like this. I mean, I've used these before and he didn't know that, and when he was bringing this stuff, he's like, oh, if it's no good, just throw it out, but this stuff's gold. It's so good. So my point is, basically, if you're scratch building or you need containers or recycled materials, don't be afraid to share it with people, because you'll be surprised. Maybe your next door neighbour has a knack for cool scratch building materials, and you don't know until you share it with people. So yeah, back to the build. Thanks, Morris. You can see there I've added centre lines to these ping pong balls as well. It's just going to help me get everything lined up and as square as possible. Just using the mat for that. I just set it on the mat and try to get it divided up as equally as possible, and use my pencil just to divide the ball in half. I can be a bit messier with the baking powder on these ones, because I'm going to cover this up with some filler just to try and smooth out the body a bit. And ping pong balls on, I can get my side pod stuck on and then see about smoothing it out a wee bit. I'm using plenty of glue on the inside there, and I'm going to drop some baking powder in just to strengthen up that join, but it has got plenty of surface area to grip to, so I'm pretty confident it's going to be a good join. And side pod's on. That's looking ship shape to me now. Liking how this is coming together. Just to try and elongate the cockpit area a wee bit here, I've cut some more ping pong balls, this time in half and then in half again. And I'm going to stick these on the back of the cockpit here, a bit like an armadillo shell. That was where I took some inspiration from for this. And then I can put plenty of rivets on, and I think that's going to look pretty cool. So I'll get these stuck on and get my cockpit area finished, and then I can think about some thrusters. Alrighty, for thrusters I've got these two spray bottle tops, and they're off different bottles but they're exactly the same, and I'm hoping they're just going to fit up nicely up in here and just act as nice thrusters, and they do the fit perfectly, no modification, they slide up in there perfect. So I'll get those glued in, and then think about another rear thruster there just at the back, which is going to be this spray bottle top, and this is apart from inside a spray bottle, and I'm just going to glue these together like this, and that's going to be another cool rear thruster. Now, because this wee small piece doesn't have much surface area and it is quite shiny, I'm going to score it with my knife as well, just to give that super glue plenty of grip. Like I said, I'm giving this away, so I want it to be nice and sturdy and well built. And there we go, that's the ship's propulsion sorted, and I think it's looking really good. Everything's just coming together so well, and honestly I didn't practice this. Now, to try and fill in some of the gaps, I got this Plasto. I actually got some second-hand model kits on eBay, and this was in the box, so I'm going to try to fill up some of these gaps with it, but instantly I kind of realised that it's not really fit for this purpose. I put way too much on for a start, and I'm trying to build up sort of forms with it, and I think it's really only meant for filling small gaps. So I'm going to let that dry and sand it down a wee bit, and then maybe go to plan B, which is going to be some milliput. Okay, plan B, milliput. I've worked with milliput all the time. I really like it. It's really good to work with. It reminds me of working with Sculpey. Plasto, I think keep it for filling smaller gaps, but definitely the milliput has worked. I think when I start riveting this up, these panels are going to show up really well. Basically what I did was I took my milliput, this is just poster tack, but just to show you, I took some milliput, rolled it out into snakes, and just smeared it around, wet my fingers and smoothed it all out. And some of the other panels there are just wee blobs of milliput, sort of moulded into shape, and plenty of water on it to smooth it out. Alrighty, now that I've got that sorted, I've got this heavy duty armature wire. It's pretty heavy gauge, so I'm going to try and make some exhausts. I took some of this thinner gauge wire first just because it's easier to bend. That other stuff is tough to bend. Got a rough shape and then bent out a couple of exhausts. I tried hollowing out the ends, but it ended up, it's not great. I'll probably end up sticking some plastic tube on the end there just to make it look better. But yep, that's how they're going to go on. That's a couple of hot rod exhausts. I had thought about putting 3 on either side, but I just thought, thinking about it, I would have to make a wee jig or something just to get them all bent symmetrical, and so I thought this was a sort of a compromise on the 3 exhausts, just one either side, and just make them massive. So yep, looking good. I'll glue those on later because I want to keep those sort of aluminium. I'll give them a good sand down just to make them look a bit more like chrome. So moving on, need to get some details on the bottom. I thought I'd make some hatches for the landing gear to come out of. So I've cut some PVC pipe. It has a nice curve on it already, so it should stick to the bottle quite nice. And I'm assuming that the landing gear is going to come out on these spots. A big one at the front just for loading and unloading. And I think it looks spot on. It look nice panels. I kind of use my Stanley knife to cut down the edges a bit, just to make them look more like metal. And you can see here I've drilled 3 holes in the side here. I slapped on it and thought now 3 exhausts would be way better. So I built a jig and bent them. And I've got some Ethernet cable. And this is going to be a good detail on the side here. So I'll just get a few holes marked and just mark out where I want it to run. And now I've got that marked out, I can use that line as a guide now, keep everything nice and neat. I thought about putting the glue on the wire, but that'll probably be a bit messier, so I'll stick my glue directly on the ship, and then I can do a neater job of it, you know. Did I mention I'm giving this away? Okay, I think that's enough wiring. I'll not go too crazy. It still needs a few more details on the bottom though, so I have another piece here from a spray bottle. This is just like the hinge off the trigger, and what do you know, it fits perfectly on my landing gear panel there. And then I've got another bit from inside I think it's from an air freshener spray bottle, and that's going to be a wee side cannon here. Need a cannon like, but again, don't want to go too mad. I'm picturing this as some kind of smuggler ship. And unfortunately I lost the footage for this, but before I forget, I blocked off this wee panel here just with a wee bit of plastic card. Just kind of held it up and drew around it and cut a wee curve out and just got it fitting nicely. And then I'm going to take a wee bit of wire just and stick it along that edge just to tidy that up. That's just a wee tiny piece of normal electrical wire. Alrighty, that's a few more details secured. And I can move on now for some rivets. These are my usual art gems or nail art, or yeah, I got them off my girlfriend. She had them. She got them with a manicure kit. So usual, I'm gonna take a toothpick and apply my glue, just tiny dab of glue where I want my rivet, and then take my rivet applicator tool and use it. I dab it on my tongue first just to help the rivet stick, and I'll just work my way around the ship. Again, I don't want to go too mad, but at the same time, I want a nice amount of rivets. And there we go, rivet's done. I think that's an appropriate amount. It just shows off those panels nicely. Now it's time for some primer and some gloss black. So there you have it, another ship built, And like I mentioned, I'm not gonna add this one to my fleet. I'm gonna give this one away. So if you want to be in with a chance to win it, just let me know down in the comments that you want in, and I'll stick your name in a hat. I'm also doing it on Instagram as well. So if you're on Instagram, leave a wee comment on the post on there, and you'll get 2 chances. And I'm happy paying postage anywhere in the world, so you don't need to worry about that. And as always, thanks very much for watching, and I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.